6. So
some big news. If you're a high school basketball fan, a big school that made it to the finals in 2A closed this week, Hales Franciscan.
Really?
And I did a story if you want to check it out, but also I got a hold of Gary London, their head coach, who, he's one of those guys everybody knows about. And it was interesting when he commented. I said, "How you doing, Coach?" He said, "Well, I'm working hard." He says, "I'm trying to, get kids to school." They only have like 37 kids at the school.
Right.
But I said, "What about you coaching?" And he says, "Well, a lot of places wanted me to bring my kids with me." He says, "I don't want to do that."
Right.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, good for him, because I am sure that there were some schools saying, "Hey, why don't you come in and while you're coming in, we could probably fit these kids in here." So good for him for not. I'm sure on the one hand it'd be nice for him to be able to stay with his kids, because I'm sure he's built up his relationships and all that, and
he had a great record.
But at the same time, it's good to not. Do what we see a lot of places do, and just, trying to do the best thing for his kids. And I'm sure he'll take care of himself after he does that. And maybe he ends up somewhere where one or two of his kids are at, but at least doing it this way, it'll be more coincidence than it is,
Here's what he told me, Matt. He said, first of all, I don't want my kids to think I'm using them.
Right.
Good
exactly.
Point. And he says, I think a year off would probably be good.
Yeah.
So then I can settle down, and in the spring, I can look everything over. I'm going, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no.
I wrote back to him and said, "That's first class, Coach."
Yeah,
Gary London.
You do not hear that a lot, and there are a lot of coaches that would probably take advantage of that opportunity, and you can't blame him with the kind of team that he had and program, things like that. So I wouldn't think anything less necessarily of anybody that did that, but I certainly think highly of him for not doing that.
There's a girls basketball coach that was at Trinity last year that did that, and he's already taken 2 kids with him to his new school.
Right.
He runs an AAU team. But Gary London, he was also the AD. They were down to 37 kids.
Yep.
They had started 2 years ago to be a co-ed, and then they went back to the all boys.
Right.
But they were down to 37 kids.
Yeah.
And so now what they're saying they're going to do, they're going to wait a year and then reopen it. That's going to be tough. I don't care what
that's going to be very tough.
Yeah, and I think, but when I got that from Gary London, that was the most refreshing thing I'd heard.
Yeah,
in a long time.
That's very, very good to hear. You do not see that kind of thing happen in athletics very often.
Because it'd be easy enough to say, I got 5 kids I can bring over, because we were in the, they're the ones that got beat by that, was it Ridgedale or whatever, hit that 50-footer or whatever it was.
Yeah, to win it, yeah. And like I said, you wouldn't have blamed him. I wouldn't think any less of him if he had done something like that. Like I said, he's got his relationships. I'm sure he'd love to stay with those kids. And if you had a landing spot where you can go there with those kids, that'd be, great to do, I'm sure. But, that is pretty amazing in the way athletics are these days, that you can have a coach who's really just going to look out for his players, like you said, doesn't want it to come off like he's trying to use them to get his next job or anything like that. Very, very commendable on his part.
And, they, like in 2007, Michael Jordan donated like $7 million, but part of it was that the alumni had to help out, because, it's not hooked up with the diocese, even though it's a Catholic school.
Right.
They didn't do that.
Right.
So it's good. I can't see the money coming in.
Yeah, I know. That's been a very successful program though over the years. So
did you know his first 2 years, Matt, he was 0-54?
I could see that. You got to build it up, but they've had some good years.
Yeah. So, but that was just so refreshing to me.
Yeah.
Because it is very, very, and when we talked about, we don't mean to pick on kids or coaches or anything, but it's getting to be where if you don't do a little bit of that stuff, you're not going to be competitive, and then you're in trouble.
You almost have to do it to compete anymore, and not that we're accusing anybody of anything, but it's just the nature of the beast these days. Is you have to.
It's a beast, all right.
Yeah, you have to do a little bit of something to stay competitive, to stay relevant, things like that, and so it's commendable to not do those kind of things. And I'm sure now on the other hand, though, when we talk about trying to find a place for these kids to go, I'm sure there's going to be some recruiting wars. I know that's not how they want it to be called, but there will definitely be some recruiting wars over those kids, I'm sure.
I think I like that he's involved. He's not taking a job, and he's not putting that pressure on those kids that if you don't go there, I don't get a job.
Right.
That's impressive to me. Because they're going to go somewhere, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
And that just kind of made me feel good the other day. It was one of those things. Well, thanks, Coach. And he was real quick to get back to you. You got to love guys like that. Oh, yeah. The problem is there's like 30 schools looking for games for this year.
Right, exactly.
That's just like that we talked about Williams Bay. Man, when you cancel a season, somebody's out scrambling for games, and tournaments probably too. They're probably in some tournaments.
The difference is in basketball, though, you can fill it a little bit easier. because you can play on odd days, those kind of things. Whereas football, it's once a week.
Yeah,
and there's only so many games, and you got so many of these conferences that all their games are conference games, and so there's not a lot of teams out there looking to begin with for a game. And
hats off though to Gary London, don't you think?
Yeah, I would completely agree.
A thumbs up.